He is holding a bilateral meeting with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Sabah. That interaction is currently underway as Prime Minister Modi aims to expand bilateral ties with the nation of Kuwait as well as the wider gamut of Muslim nations in the Middle East. Prime Minister Modi holding that bilateral meeting with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Sabah. Those are the visuals on your screen. Remember, it's not just expansion of ties when it comes to the oil and energy sector. Prime Minister Modi also pushing to expand diplomatic engagement between India as well as the Muslim world in non-energy sectors as well, such as infrastructure and defense as well as pharmaceuticals. Prime Minister Modi aiming to expand India's diplomatic ties with the Middle East in order to boost the Vikas drive back home. So that is the big piece of news that's coming in. Those are the visuals on your screen coming in from Kuwait. Prime Minister Modi holding that crucial bilateral meeting with the Crown Prince of Kuwait. To get more details on this essential meeting, I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Mishra on the broadcast. Siddhant, over to you.
Well, that's right, Ayushman. In fact, Prime Minister Modi and Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Sabah, get along very well. In fact, they last met on the sideline of UNGA in September. And this is perhaps for the second time that both leaders are meeting. This is Prime Minister Modi's second meeting with the Kuwaiti leadership, perhaps somebody from the royal family. Before this, he met Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Meshal Al-Ahmad Al-Jabal Al-Sabah. And in fact, Prime Minister has been conferred with the highest honor of Kuwait by His Highness the Emir. And after that, Prime Minister has just gotten insight for the delegation level talks with the Crown Prince. And this is the second such structured meeting of Prime Minister Modi with the Crown Prince. Last time they met in UNGA. Both sides would do the review of the entire spectrum of bilateral relationship, Ayushman. And in fact, there are 10 joint working groups that have already been established between the two countries. In fact, in December, the Kuwaiti foreign minister was in New Delhi. He met Foreign Minister Shankar, and in fact, at that time, the announcement for the joint commission for cooperation was announced. So there are many areas in which both countries are right now cooperating, includes trade, culture, energy, education, so on and so forth. And today, Prime Minister would review that bilateral relationship with the Crown Prince. And in fact, India would definitely be also discussing the issues of the expats living in Kuwait. Perhaps that has always been Prime Minister Modi's priority. In fact, yesterday also, he did mention about the unfortunate tragedy that happened at Al-Mangaf compound in the month of June, in which 43 Indians lost their lives. There are many lessons that have been learned from that incident. Then Prime Minister also appreciated the cooperation extended by Kuwaiti side at that point in time by sending back the mortal remains, and all the paperwork were removed for the speedy, so that the process could speed up. So Prime Minister thanked the Kuwaiti side for that. So definitely the issue of expats are going to come up. Then there are 60,000 students, those who are studying in CBSE affiliated schools in Kuwait. So education would again be the focus area. Then LPG and crude oil. Kuwait is the fourth largest supplier of crude to India and sixth largest supplier of LPG to India. Perhaps India would again be taking up this issue and would try to find out more opportunities to secure India's energy requirements. And we could expect signing of MOUs between the two sides. There are already 26 MOUs, existing MOUs between the two sides. We could expect some more MOUs to be signed and the exchange of agreements. And after this is perhaps the last engagement of Prime Minister Modi in Kuwait, and after which we've been told that Foreign Secretary will hold the press conference to talk about this successful and the historic visit of Prime Minister Modi to Kuwait, any Indian Prime Minister to visit Kuwait after 40 years.
Right. And Siddhant, at the same time, beyond the the tangibles when it comes to expanding bilateral ties in areas like pharmaceuticals, infrastructure, and defense. Prime Minister Modi has also made a significant cultural outreach to the Muslim countries. Now, beyond the politics back home, decode for us the strategic ends of that foreign policy strategy.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Ayushman. In fact, if you remember 10 years back, nobody had even thought of India being such a good and a strategic partners with the countries in the Gulf. But today, if for Gulf countries, if there are two important players in Asia, then one is India and other is China. And perhaps that is only possible because of Prime Minister Modi's relationship. His constant focus has always been on the countries in the Gulf, and especially right now, India is also negotiating FTA with GCC, and Kuwait is the chair of GCC at this point in time. Also, other than this, in fact, I was hearing one Pakistani journalist this morning, and he was very articulate in what he said, that India and perhaps Prime Minister Modi has outmaneuvered Pakistan from the Gulf, and that is the biggest achievement of Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy in last 10 years. Now we send wheat, we send rice to Gulf, we send manpower to Gulf, we are sending doctors, nurses to Gulf. The best of our hospitals are setting up hospitals in the Gulf countries, and in return we are getting crude, we are getting LPG, we are getting hydrocarbon production. There is IMAC, which is coming up. Perhaps that was also announced last year on the sidelines of the G20 summit. Again, a very ambitious project which would connect Indian ports on the western states directly to the Gulf countries, and via that the trade could reach Europe. And Kuwait is also one of the beneficiary. We will be the beneficiary of that connectivity corridor. So it is all have been possible because of Prime Minister Modi, and Kuwait was the only remaining destination country where Prime Minister had not visited in last 10 years. So this visit was very much likely on the cards from a long time, and this visit also got delayed maybe for a year or so because there was a change in guard in Kuwait, and perhaps Indian side was also looking for a right opportunity to plan the visit once the leadership gets settled in Kuwait. And since now there is a political stability in Kuwait, it's an apt time to reach out to the leadership and to sort of boost the bilateral relationship. So it's a very good times for India to boost bilateral ties. And in fact, yesterday the kind of welcome Prime Minister Modi received, he was invited for the opening ceremony of the Gulf football tournament, which is the largest tournament for the Gulf countries. And then today he was given the guard of honor at the presidential palace, and now again bilateral talks. And as you rightly pointed out, we are discussing pharmaceuticals, IT, fintech, infrastructure, and security with Gulf nations. So there are a lot of domains in which it is not a buyer-seller relationship anymore. In 90s and in early 2000, Ayushman, it used to be the buyer-seller relationship. Okay, they used to sell us crude and we used to buy that crude from them. That was the only relationship that we had. Prime Minister Modi had boosted the relationship not just with Kuwait but all the countries. So now it's like partners. Many of these nations are strategic partners, and
right.
But there's a proper understanding, MOU signed, so more structured. And the relationship have progressed quite a lot under leadership of Prime Minister Modi.
Right. Thank you, Siddhant, for joining us on the broadcast and giving us that comprehensive take